Good evening. We are group number 6, and the topic is designing an authentic assessment to consolidate the evaluation process. So, the learning context in this project that we designed is about a 10th grade group of students. The language skill and topic are speaking and healthy thinking. The class content is in a public school. The objective of this is that by the end of the project, 10th grade students will design a video or presentation to promote healthy habits on using modal verbs as should and shouldn't to persuade their peers to drink more water, eat healthy food, exercise daily, and get enough sleep. So let's continue with the authentic learning design.
Hello everyone. Now we present step 2, which is the design of the authentic learning experience. Our authentic learning experience is a collaborative task in which students create a short video based on a real life topic. The main purpose of this task is to help learners to use English meaningfully in a communicative context rather than simple memorizing language form. This activity is authentic because it requires to uh, interact, negotiate ideas, make decisions, and produce a final message for a real audience. It also promotes active participation, creativity, reflection, and problem solving. In terms of competence, students develop cognitive skills when they organize and select information, performance skills when they speak and present ideas, and attitudinal competence when they collaborate, respect others, and take responsibility for their role in the group. So, this learning experience does not focus only on language practice. It also generates meaningful evidence of language use and show how English can be applied in a practical and relevant way. And now I will pass the word to my classmate who will continue with the next section. Thank you.
Okay, and now we're going to the development of the three assessment stages. Please, mate.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to talk about the part three, develop the three assessment stage. The part one is assessment for learning and planning and formative guidance stage. The first one is diagnostic activity. Before starting the project, the teacher conduct a brainstorming activity about healthy habits. Students observe pictures related to drinking water, eating fruit and vegetables, exercise, and sleep. Then they answer simple questions such as what healthy habit do you do? How often do you exercise? Do you drink enough water? What should people do to stay healthy? The second one, um, throughout the project, the teacher provide guidance and support to help students successfully complete the final task. The teacher model how to use the modal verbs should them in the sentence relate to healthy habit. For example, um, you should drink more water, you should eat fruit and vegetables, you shouldn't eat too much junk food. And this strategy helps students develop the language confidence and speaking skill need for the final performance. The next is formative feedback method. During the learning process, the teacher provides continued feedback to help the student improve their speaking and language skill. Feedback is giving through oral comment during classroom activities, group discussions, and practice presentation. And number four, success criteria. A student will be successful if they can use the modal verbs should and shouldn't correctly to give advice about healthy habits, and provide clear and relevant recommendations about drinking water, eating healthy food, exercising, and getting enough sleep. And the number five, classroom support strategies. To support how the student throughout the project, the teacher provide a variety of classroom support strategies. This include pair and group work. And number six, observation or monitoring process. And through the project, the teacher continues and share and monitor student progress during classroom activities, work, group work, and speaking practice. And the next slide. Okay. We have three questions, and the first one is what evidence the teacher collect. Well, the teacher collect evidence from class participation, group discussion, practice activities, and draft version of the final project. The second question is how does feedback help improvements? Feedback help students correct mistakes, improve pronunciations, and use should and shouldn't more acquired. And the last one, how do a student prepare for the final performance? While the student practice speaking, receive feedback, and revise their work and collaborating with classmates before creating the final video or presentation. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm going to introduce assessment as learning, students' reflection, and self-regulation stage. This stage explains how students actively participate in their own evaluation process. First, we have self-assessment strategies. Those students use a checklist or rubric to evaluate their own video or presentation. They check if they correctly use modal verbs and if their message is clear. Then we have peer assessment activities. In this case, students watch each other videos or presentations and give a feedback. They comment on clarify use of language, in this case, should or shouldn't, and how persuasive the message is in encourage healthy habits. Reflection opportunities. After completing their work, students reflect on what they did well and what they can improve. How students recognize strengths and weaknesses. Students think about identify strengths such as good pronunciation or clear ideas, and weaknesses such as grammar mistakes or unclear messages. Number five, how learners make adjustment during the process. Students check their script, correct grammar, improve pronunciation, or change their presentation style based on feedback and self-reflection. The next one, please. Assessment of learning, summative reflection and achievement stage. This stage refers to evaluate students' final achievement after a learning period. The purpose of this stage is measure what students have learned at the end of a unit or a course. You have common methods such as tests, final projects, presentations, or written assessment. The teacher role in this case evaluate performance using rubrics or assign final grade based on learning objectives. And the student role, students demonstrate what they have learned and show their level of understanding. And finally, the outcome is provide a final judgment of a student achievement and helps determine if they learn the goal of the topic. Thank you.
Good evening. About the alignment section. The learning objective is directly connected to the authentic learning experience because students use English in a meaningful and a real life context to promote healthy habits among their peers. Through collaboration, communication, and problem solving, students apply their language knowledge while creating a practical product. The activities generate evidence throughout the learning process. Diagnostic activities provide information about prior knowledge, while observations, draft, peer assessments, self assessments, and reflections demonstrate students' progress. The final video or presentations serve as the main evidence of learning because it requires the students to apply language skills, content knowledge, and collaborative competence in an authentic situation. The evidence demonstrates learning by showing students' ability to use modal verbs correctly, communicate healthy lifestyles recommendations effectively, and work cooperatively with their classmates. Cognitive competences are demonstrated through understanding healthy habits, performance competences through speaking and presenting. Based on the assessment results, the teacher can identify strengths and areas for improvement. Future instructional adjustments may include additional language support, differentiated activities, more speaking practice opportunities, and enhanced formative assessment strategies to better support students' learning and achievement. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, so next up we have the assessment tools. So we decided to make a group of tools that help us to assess all these projects and activities throughout our development. So the first one is the rubric. The rubric helps us to measure the performance in an overall way in which we can we can analyze all the aspects of the student's performance, such as the use of modal verbs, content and healthy habits, fluency and pronunciation, and organization and creativity. So, the best condition in which a student should perform is the first one. Seamlessly integrate should and shouldn't to give advice with no grammatical errors. In the content, it the student has to pursue promotes all the four required habits that are taught, which are drinking water, eating healthy, exercising, and sleeping well, clearly and persuasively, and speak clearly and confidently. Excellent pronunciation that enhance the persuasive message. And at last, the video presentation should be engaging, original, and perfectly organized among the students. So, through this way, we could measure their performance in a quantitative way. But about the monitoring is a very good and important aspect that we have to take in account. So the assessment strategy is to draft monitoring. What I mean with draft monitoring, we need to monitor the process in which we can receive all the vocabulary and structures, and the students should write the script and present it. So the teacher should analyze it and make some assumptions, some tips, and feedback for the students. Also, the exit ticket, it has to do with the final stage of the session. Yeah, meaningful writing should be done here since each student has to deliver individually a, a ticket in which he has to respond to answers or to assignments. He has to write a recommendation about what a student, any of their classmates, should do to do better in the school. and the other one is to grant a recommendation about something that that same classmate shouldn't do according to their sleeping habits or any other habits at all. So this allows the teacher to immediately identify the mistakes in which the students are failing. Yeah, so the students need to write freely and creatively in the way that they are able to respond and fulfill the requirements of the writing stage. And at last, we have the assessment tools. The peer assessment is a very effective way to analyze in a qualitative way how the students perform and look at their other classmates. So these are a group of questions that the students should answer before finishing all the project, since they have worked together and need to analyze their other classmates based on their experiences. So the first one is, did my classmates use the words should and shouldn't correctly? Was the message persuasive enough to encourage healthy eating and exercise? Did they clearly state the importance of drinking water and sleeping well? Was the pronunciation of the group members easy to understand? These are very important questions to answer, since the students need to understand the quality of their performance throughout all the process from the beginning to the end. So this is a brief reflection we have on all of this. So shifting focus from memorization to authentic application is the most important thing we should do. Rather than taking a traditional grammar test, the student apply the model verbs should and shouldn't to create an authentic real world product. So in this case, it's the video or the presentation promoting the healthy lifestyles. The number two is utilizing low stakes formative scaffolding. So this incorporation of continuous monitoring, such as the script and the exit ticket, lowers the students' anxiety and reduces their fear of making mistakes. So it's very important, since they feel more motivated and not intimidated at the hour of performing freely and creatively. And the last one is to foster metacognition and student autonomy. So the inclusion of this dedicated self-assessment and peer assessment instruments shift the student from a passive recipient of a grade to an active agent of their own education and their own learning. So the students analyze their peers' presentation against a clear set of success criteria. So they are following what they think instead of following a structure as itself. So that's all we can offer. Thank you very much. Have a good night.